the frustrating side of that to me was like, look, man, I didn't need you guys. Yeah. I could have done it all. I was already doing it all. I didn't need you to come in. I did you the favor, right? Like I was the one that...
But just a month ago, didn't Brian himself say that it was in fact East versus West that helped the Shaw Classic by covering some of the costs?
Longest arm on earth, the arm wrestling event that happened on Friday, actually helped the strongmen. And why it helped the strongmen is the arm wrestling took on some of the production costs. So we would typically have to pay all of it for the strongman, and because the arm wrestling came in, they took over.
So was Brian lying then, or is he lying now? Or maybe the truth is that both situations are true. They helped each other. In this video, we will react to Brian Shaw's recent comments about him not being happy with the East versus West organization. Initially, we thought that since many European athletes were quitting, that's why Brian was not happy. He was not happy because of ingratitude or stuff like that. But that is not the truth. Brian Shaw's problems were not all because of the athletes quitting. In fact, he had problems with the current East versus West organization, the new ownership, or at least that's what I understood from Brian's comments like these.
I didn't want to so quickly get into that negative spot, and I wish that collaboration would have never happened, right? Yeah. Like I wish that, because I think walking out, it would have been better.
So Brian said that it was a very horrible experience. He had to rethink and re-evaluate the whole arm wrestling thing after that. But the good thing is that Brian made it absolutely clear that he is still training. He's just not posting that much stuff out there, or maybe he's not training that much, but he's still getting on the table in the gym around arm wrestling equipments every now and then. But about the collaboration with East versus West, he made it very clear by saying that I wish that collaboration would have never happened. He should have walked out of that collaboration. He should have never helped East versus West. And the main reason that he gave for saying this is that East versus West organization didn't show him gratitude. I don't think that's the whole truth. Whenever people say that I'm mad because they didn't show gratitude, they didn't say thank you, the real reason is not even close to that. It's just a cover up to hide things which shouldn't be let out in the public. Because if my memory is serving me correctly, then I do remember Robert Baxter thanking Brian Shaw as soon as the event ended. What could be a better gratification than thanking you in front of the whole audience and the athletes? And Brian was also talking about them not having a venue. Again, it was a very controversial subject whether the Baku event was there or it wasn't. The fans almost unanimously agreed that there was no Baku event. The venue was not confirmed. Devin Larratt also kept on saying that. But even recently, I talked with East versus West organization, and they informed me that yes, in fact, a day before that East versus West event, prior to the Brian Shaw event, the Baku event was confirmed, and it was informed to Brian Shaw as well. And then I remember Devin Larratt's comment saying that Brian Shaw has agreed to help us with the venue, with the organization, with a condition that there will be no Baku event. That was a little surprising to me. So did they not have the Baku event because they did not want to upset Brian Shaw? And now Brian himself is saying that they didn't have the Baku event and I helped them? The situation is getting confusing here. I've heard some rumors that the strongman arm wrestlers were not happy because they were not informed that they would have to sign a bunch of posters and other stuff as per East versus West rules. That was a mistake made by East versus West. They should have informed them. Then I've also heard some rumors, I would say from one of the VIPs that was present there, that there was an argument between Brian Shaw and East versus West about the table dimensions as well. East versus West made it absolutely clear that they will be using their own table for the competition. But Brian Shaw arranged his own table with the help of Ian Carnegie, and the dimensions of that table were all over the place. They were not as per standard WAF rules. Not even the pads, not even the pin pads. They had to swap the pin pads and elbow pads right before the competition. So East versus West was not happy because of that. And I got to know about a bunch of other stuff that I can't really talk about here because it's not confirmed. Those were just rumors. So I'll be ending this video with a couple of suggestions from my side. I would tell Brian Shaw, he's such a legend in his own game in the strongman community and such a respectable human being and an athlete. You can even look at Tom Stubblebine's video and massive support for Brian Shaw over there. Everyone keeps on saying that there is one guy that we can trust. His name is Brian Shaw. So my suggestion for him would be to stick to arm wrestling. Do not try to be an organizer and an arm wrestler at the same time. It simply doesn't work out. There is a reason why we haven't seen any elite level arm wrestler organize at the same time. And no, I'm not talking about organizing an event and competing in the same event, which Brian Shaw did, by the way. I'm just talking about being an arm wrestler, top level arm wrestler in general, and also being an event organizer. Doesn't happen. The president of WAF doesn't compete. The owner of PPL doesn't compete. The owner of PL, Top 8, Igor Mazurenko, he stopped competing maybe well over a decade ago. The owner of WL, Steve Kaplan, you would never see him around the table. The owner of King of the Table, initially I think it was Larry Wheels in partnership. And what happened to him? Only guy who competed, he quit arm wrestling. Don Idris, owner of Core Sports, he never competed. East versus West, Engin Terzi never competed. Only once in his own organization and once after that at King of the Table. So only a couple of times. He was also not competing while he was organizing events. So that's a lesson that needs to be learned right there. Brian Shaw should not be organizing arm wrestling events as of now. He should be focusing on training for arm wrestling. And the second lesson here for everyone is just forget what happened there. Brian Shaw was under a lot of stress. East versus West was under even more stress. Their whole league was falling apart. So I think whatever East versus West did to Brian Shaw that Brian didn't like, I think he should just forget about it. Maybe forgive East versus West for doing that. Just think that it was not the best time. We all know that. And the same goes for East versus West. If there is anything that they didn't like about Brian Shaw, it was because Brian was also under a lot of stress. He just lost the Vitali versus Devon match, which he would have loved to get on his stage. The good thing is that Brian is still training, and I can guarantee you Brian will be back at the East versus West stage as an arm wrestler, and that's what we would love to see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again.